Welcome to Echo of Crime YouTube channel. The story began on a quiet Thursday evening in Phoenix, Arizona, when a 32-year-old IT technician named Michael Andrews set up his webcam to record a casual video diary. Michael had started vlogging a few months earlier, posting simple clips about technology tips, day-in-the-life updates, and product reviews. His audience was small, mostly co-workers and friends, but he treated every recording like a little project. That night, as rain tapped against his apartment window, he pressed record and began speaking into the lens. His roommate, Aaron Clark, walked past him in the background. Nothing unusual. They'd shared the apartment for 2 years, and the two men often crossed paths during Michael's filming sessions. The camera sat on Michael's desk, facing the open doorway that led to the living room. When he finished his short vlog, he clicked stop recording. Or so he thought. Unbeknownst to him, the webcam software had glitched. It kept recording long after Michael left his chair, quietly capturing nearly an hour of unfiltered footage from that night. The next morning unfolded like any other. Michael woke up early, brewed his coffee, and left for work. He didn't know that in his absence, the same camera, still running, had captured something that would soon turn his life upside down. Later that day, when he came home, his roommate was gone. His bedroom door closed, car missing, phone switched off. It wasn't until 3 days later that Aaron Clark was reported missing by his family. The police opened a routine missing person file, unaware that the most vital clue already existed, sitting quietly on Michael's hard drive. At the time, Michael didn't connect any of it. He assumed Aaron had gone to stay with friends or visit relatives. But when police began asking questions, things took a strange turn. 2 uniformed officers arrived at Michael's apartment on a Monday afternoon. Their tone was polite, procedural. They asked if Aaron had been acting differently. Michael said no. Then one of the officers asked to see the apartment, mentioning that the family had reported odd phone activity, text messages sent from Aaron's number after his disappearance. Michael led them through the rooms, the kitchen, the small living area, and finally Aaron's room. Everything looked normal, except for a faint odor of cleaning chemicals. The officers made a note but didn't comment. When they finished, one of them asked if Michael had any cameras or recording equipment in the home. "Just my webcam," he said, pointing to his desk. "I use it for my YouTube channel." They asked to see the most recent footage. Michael, confused but cooperative, plugged in the external drive that stored his videos. Together, they opened the folder labeled March 14th. Inside were 2 files, one titled Tech Talk EP7 and another unnamed, automatically saved by the webcam software. The unnamed file was 58 minutes long. At first, the video showed nothing unusual. Michael talking about operating system updates, the faint hum of rain outside. But 15 minutes in, the scene changed. Michael stood up to grab something from the kitchen and never came back into frame. What happened next played out silently in the living room background, barely visible but enough to send chills down the spine of everyone watching. A figure, later confirmed to be Aaron, walked past the doorway several times, pacing, agitated. He was on the phone arguing. His tone was sharp, angry, though the audio was faint. Then, around the 30-minute mark, another person appeared at the edge of the frame. The investigators paused. The figure wasn't Michael. The grainy footage showed a brief confrontation, shadows crossing, a sudden movement, a door closing. Then nothing. The rest of the video was static and rain. When the officers looked up from a screen, Michael was pale. "I didn't even know that file existed," he whispered. The footage became a central piece of the missing person investigation. Forensic analysts extracted every frame, every audio frequency. The timestamp matched the exact night Aaron's phone had gone offline. While the visual clarity wasn't perfect, it was enough to confirm that a struggle had occurred, and that someone else had been in the apartment that night. Michael's casual video diary had become the key witness. Police sealed off the apartment as a potential crime scene. Neighbors reported seeing a dark SUV leaving the complex late that evening, but no one had noted the plate. The investigation deepened. Michael found himself in an impossible position. The man who had unknowingly recorded the most important piece of evidence in his own home. Word spread quickly. Local reporters caught wind of the strange discovery. Man accidentally records his own roommate's disappearance. The clip itself wasn't released publicly due to its sensitive nature, but the story went viral. News anchors described it as a digital mystery, a case where technology revealed the truth without the owner's awareness. Cybercrime experts were invited onto talk shows to discuss how everyday recording devices often capture more than intended. Michael, overwhelmed, deactivated his social media accounts. He hadn't committed a crime, but his camera had turned his private life into evidence. Investigators later cleared Michael of any wrongdoing. His digital timestamps, phone GPS, and work attendance confirmed his innocence. But the emotional toll remained. In one interview months later, he said, "I set out to film a tech vlog and ended up filming a tragedy. You never think your camera is watching something you aren't." The comment resonated deeply. Viewers began re-examining the hidden implications of our connected world. The idea that every webcam, every phone, every recording light can become an unintended witness. As the chapter closes, the camera pans across the now empty apartment. The computer sits quietly on the desk, a small red light blinking. The same light that once captured a mystery no one meant to record. In an age where every moment is filmed, sometimes the most chilling stories aren't the ones we set out to tell. They're the ones that happen when we stop watching. The screen fades to black, leaving behind only the soft hum of static, the sound of truth caught by accident. When investigators took possession of Michael Andrews' computer, they didn't just find a video. They found a digital time capsule. The single recording, just under an hour long, held dozens of small clues invisible to the untrained eye. Every flicker of light, every background noise, every second of silence was analyzed frame by the Digital Evidence Recovery Unit in Phoenix. Detective Laura Bennett, head of the unit, described the process as reading between pixels. She and her team enhanced the footage, isolating background sounds and adjusting shadows. It wasn't just about what they could see. It was about what they could hear. Around the 28-minute mark, faint tapping sounds emerged, followed by muffled voices. Using spectral analysis, technicians identified two male voices, one belonging to Aaron Clark, the missing roommate, and another belonging to someone yet unidentified. After multiple audio reconstructions, a fragment of dialogue became clear. Aaron's voice saying, "You shouldn't have taken it." That phrase changed everything. Investigators began building a timeline of events, cross-referencing phone logs, texts, and security footage from nearby streets. Aaron's last outgoing message had been sent that same evening, a text to an unknown number that read only, "I have it." Detectives suspected that the second person in the video, the one partially visible in the background, was connected to whatever it referred to. When forensic analysts slowed the video to a quarter speed, they noticed something chilling, a reflection. On the glass door near the kitchen, a faint, distorted image of another man appeared, tall, wearing a cap, partially masked by the low light. The timestamp placed him in the apartment just minutes before Aaron's phone went dark forever. Police cross-checked recent visitors to the apartment building using access logs from the main gate. One name appeared repeatedly, Ryan Keller, a local handyman who had performed maintenance in several units. He was known to both roommates, had keys to the property, and had visited that week. When questioned, Keller admitted knowing Aaron, but denied being at the apartment that night. However, digital forensics told another story. His phone had pinged near the building during the time of the incident. Even more telling, one of his fingerprints matched a partial print lifted from a cleaned kitchen counter in Aaron's room. By now, the story had evolved from a mystery into a high-stakes digital investigation. The video, once dismissed as an accidental vlog, was now being treated as the primary evidence in a suspected homicide. As the weeks passed, search teams combed nearby areas for signs of Aaron Clark. His car was found abandoned in a parking lot 5 miles away. Inside, detectives found cleaning supplies, gloves, and a receipt dated the morning after the incident. The handwriting on the receipt matched Keller's. But what tied everything together wasn't in the car, it was in the audio. In one enhanced segment, just before the video cut to static, A faint jingle of keys was heard, followed by a whispered, "It's done." The voice was confirmed through forensic comparison to be Keller's. Armed with this evidence, police arrested Ryan Keller 2 months later. During questioning, Keller maintained his innocence, claiming he had been set up. But investigators found another digital link. On his work laptop, cached internet history showed searches like how to wipe metadata from video files and detecting if a webcam is recording. Ironically, the very camera he tried to avoid had sealed his fate. When confronted with the video still, the faint reflection in the glass, he went silent. "That's not me," he murmured, staring at the screen. But the timestamp, the phone data, and the voice analysis left little room for doubt. The detective in charge later told reporters he didn't realize he was standing in the one place where every movement was being recorded. That webcam became the silent witness. By now, the story had gripped the nation. News outlets called it the crime that solved itself. Forensic experts appeared on talk shows explaining how digital forensics could now pull confessions from pixels and echoes. Michael Andrews, still struggling with guilt, became the reluctant face of a new conversation. The idea that ordinary technology could become accidental evidence. He wasn't a hero, but he wasn't a suspect either. He was something in between, a reminder that in the digital age, privacy and accountability often share the same lens. In the final scene of this chapter, the camera pans across a forensic lab at night. A monitor plays the enhanced footage, the reflection in the glass frozen mid-frame. The screen flickers, blue and silent. He didn't film his roommate's death. He filmed a ghost in the reflection, and that ghost told the truth. As the scene dissolves, the hum of servers fills the silence, leading into Chapter 3, the courtroom, the verdict, and the haunting reality of what it means to record without knowing. By the time Ryan Keller stepped into the courtroom, the story had already traveled across the country. The man who recorded his own crime was no longer just a headline. It had become a case study in digital forensics. Inside the Maricopa County Superior Court, rows of spectators filled the benches. Reporters sat with notebooks ready, cameras restricted but presence undeniable. On one side sat Michael Andrews, the man whose accidental footage had rewritten an entire investigation. On the other, Keller, expressionless, shoulders stiff, as if still trying to process how a forgotten webcam had brought his secrets into daylight. When the trial began, prosecutors presented the 58-minute video that had started it all. The courtroom lights dimmed, and the screen flickered to life. The familiar static hum filled the room. At first, it played like any other home recording. Michael talking about his day, the faint background of rain. Then, as the video advanced, the atmosphere in the courtroom changed. The grainy, low-lit footage showed shadows moving across the background, the barely visible reflection of Keller's figure in the glass door, and the faint, muffled words, "You shouldn't have taken it." This isn't fiction. This isn't imagination. This is what happens when the truth records itself. The defense argued that the video was too unclear to be definitive. They questioned the reliability of audio enhancement and claimed the reflection could belong to anyone. But then came the digital analysis report. Expert witnesses from the Federal Forensic Media Unit confirmed through 3D modeling that the reflection's proportions matched Keller's exact build and clothing seen on surveillance from earlier that evening. The soundwave analysis of the whispered, "It's done," was a 98% voice match to Keller's sample. When Michael Andrews took the stand, the courtroom fell into a hush. His voice was calm but heavy. "I didn't even know the camera was still running," he said. "I was just making a video for my channel." And then it turned into evidence. He described how he discovered the file alongside police, his disbelief at realizing his webcam had captured something no one was meant to see. He explained the guilt, how for weeks he questioned whether he could have prevented it if he hadn't left the room. The jury watched him closely, not as a suspect or even a witness, but as an ordinary man caught in the web of technology and tragedy. After his testimony, reporters dubbed him the accidental witness. After 2 weeks of trial, the jury deliberated for only 6 hours. On October 14, 2017, Ryan Keller was found guilty of second-degree murder and tampering with evidence. When the judge read the sentence, 25 years in state prison, Keller didn't look up. He stared at the table, hands folded, the reflection from the courtroom lights flickering in his glasses. The case closed quietly, but the echoes of it continued far beyond the walls of the courtroom. For Michael Andrews, life changed forever. He deleted his YouTube channel, packed up his equipment, and moved to a smaller apartment on the outskirts of the city. He told one journalist, "I used to think of cameras as harmless. Now I see them as something else, witnesses we didn't know we had." The clip of his testimony spread online, not because of the crime, but because of the eerie moral behind it, that in the digital age, we are all recording history, even when we don't mean to. Within months, law enforcement academies began using the case in forensic training, teaching recruits how incidental recordings could become critical evidence. It was no longer just about fingerprints and DNA. It was about data, devices, and the silent witnesses we carry in our pockets. Legal experts called the case a defining moment in digital forensics. Technology commentators called it the day privacy and justice collided. The story even inspired new proposals for digital evidence laws, emphasizing ethical handling of incidental recordings, footage that was never meant to be public but becomes vital to justice. Meanwhile, Michael tried to live quietly. Occasionally, he would receive emails from people who had seen documentaries about the case, thanking him for helping solve a crime, even unintentionally. His response was always the same. "It wasn't me who solved it. It was the truth that did." The final scene fades in, a slow pan across Michael's empty old apartment. The desk, the chair, the unplugged webcam still sitting in a box. Outside, city lights flicker through rain-soaked windows. He didn't mean to record a crime. He didn't mean to witness it. But the lens doesn't ask permission. It only captures what's real. In the end, justice didn't come from confession or eyewitnesses. It came from a camera that never knew when to stop recording. The scene fades to black, leaving only the faint echo of static, the digital heartbeat of a story that shouldn't exist, but does.